Hello, everyone. This is Mohammad NAVEED, Head of Motion Design in Turkuvaz Media Group. I'm responsible for providing lots of motion design content to various channels. Actually, we have A4, A-Para, A-News, A-Haber, and ATV. From last 7 years, I have been providing them a lot of motion design titles, event openers, and branding designs, everything. Along with that, I'm using as a freelancer. I'm working as a freelancer from last 9 years as a NAVEED So I was lucky enough to work with a lots of clients such as Al Jazeera, Dreambox, Cossack Studio, NRT. And yeah, I mean, it's been 7 years I have been working with them, and I mean, it was a very great experience to work with them. And C4D is always the key software for me to work with it. So before moving further, I would like to take you guys back to 2008, 2009, when I started learning this software, when I was frequent user of 3D Studio Max, and suddenly I saw a couple of YouTube tutorials about 3D Studio, about C4D. And then those tutorials really hooked me up because I love the user interface and the whole story inside the C4D. I found it very friendly software for me because, I mean, it was very, frequent software for me. So I started doing a lot of experiment videos and experiment sales on daily basis. At that time, I was using a lot of physical render and standard render with the Maxon C4D. So these are some very old stills that I rendered from physical render. I think it's like 7 or 8 years old stills. And yeah, at that time I was very excited about motion design, and I made one Facebook group called Motion Emotion. And I designed the logo, and I invited a lot of motion designers from all over the world, and they have just now more than 300 users on this group. It's more than 3,000, sorry. So, having said that, I was very excited, and this is the first project I have made with C4D after maybe 2 or 3 weeks learning. So let's see. At that time, that was a very cool kind of thing for me. And one day I just uploaded it, and then second day, one of my friends sent me one still. And that still was Maxon's landing page website. And he said, man, your work is on Maxon's website. I said, don't tell me, man, this is not possible. So let's move on. That was the still that he sent me 10 years ago. And I was really excited. That was a real motivation for me. Because, when you do a very first work with the software and then you get this kind of motivation, that really helps me to go along with this software. And I found myself very lucky to be on Maxon's website first time. So that was the main motivation, the kind of things that I still keep myself really motivated. So from last 7 years, 8 years, I have been working this software. And right now, I would like to show you my showreel, which contains my last 2 years of work. And then we will move on. Thank you. Although I think it's very long, but it was very difficult to put 2 years' work in just a 1 minute. So this is the project that I would like to talk about. This is the most recent branding I did for Salam TV. Salam TV belongs to from Libya. So I did the whole branding for them. This is the main ID, the mother ID I did for them. So let's see. So basically, client came up to me with the basic idea that they want to start a channel for basically they want to target Libyan family. It's a soft news family channel. So the idea was to bring scattered Libyan people after especially the Arab Spring. They wanted to provide some soft entertainment. So basically, I will go through scene by scene for all the projects. So let me get into the C4D, enough talking, and let's do some scenes that I have already done for this ID. So first of all, I would like to talk about this main first scene, that how I approached this scene. Basically, this scene rendered in Octane, since the Octane and Redshift in the market, so I've been using a lot of these renders. So it really helps. So let's see how I achieved this first scene. So to go for this, let's draw the circle first. So, okay. The screen is very small, by the way, on my. So start with the circle. So the approach is to use dynamics. I mean, I wanted to collapse these balls dynamically and bounce dynamically around. So let's create the floor first, the most important thing. And just a little bit up. And let's create a dynamic tag from simulation tab and rigid body dynamic tab. And for the plane, we would like to add the collider body tag, which will help sphere to stay on and react dynamically. So in my scenario, I was trying to move it at one direction, but there was a challenge to change the direction of the sphere dynamically. So I came up with the solution. Let me just close this Octane. Let's close this. And it's in the dynamic section. I'll click the custom initial velocity to give us some sort of speed to move a ball in one direction. So for example, I'm putting a number 400 and see what will happen. It bounced little because maybe it's intersecting on the floor. Let's see. Yeah. So right now, as you can see, the ball is moving towards only one direction and pretty straight. It does not have any curves inside. So to provide those curves, I just added, if you just, by the way, I'm just pressing Shift C, which really helps me to bring things on. And I have just picked a wind modifier, wind force, to affect this ball. Let's see if it's doing something. Yes, it is. So what is happening right now, my initial velocity is forcing the ball towards X direction. And at the same time, as you can see, my wind direction is opposite to that direction. So wind is forcing to the opposite direction. So that's how I got this dynamically curved the motion. By the way, there is a very cool way in release 21. I'll go through that as well, because you don't have to use in those wind deformers. I'll show with the help of field forces. Amazing field forces, I would say. So yeah, so let's put this, because I wanted to trace it, because the concept was that the communities in Lebanon are coming towards this channel to under one banner, and they are leaving their trace paths. So let's use tracer here. And right now the tracer is tracing the whole sphere. I don't want that. I don't want even the sphere to be traced. So let's go there in the tracer object, and let me remove this, because the moment I was using it, the sphere was selected. So right now, if we want to trace it, I have to put a one null parent to this sphere. So let's draw a null on the scene, and let's see how we can do it. So right mouse click, go to the rigging tags and constraints. Constraints helps to parent with the other object. So let's stop it and let's see. In constraint, I'm just selecting PSR. And in PSR tag, I'm going and saying don't follow the rotation. So uncheck the rotation tag, rotation check mark, and keep the checkbox on for the position, and drag and drop this sphere into this target field, because we want this null to follow the sphere. So let's see. And this tracer needs to be linked with the LUN as well. Now it's tracing it, but if you can, I wanted this trace path to along with the surface, not in the middle of the ball, as you can see. So I found a solution for this, because when you are using this constraint tag, it allows you to use the maintain original position. It really helps me to solve the problem. So now if you can see, the tracing path is, because the null is maintaining its original position. So that's how I managed to achieve the first scene. And let me see if I can achieve the same thing to using field forces, because I really want to talk about field forces, and there is a very nice solution for it. If you have a spline, just draw a spline maybe. And just keep it here. And use the dynamic as we used before, because field forces works on dynamics. You can really art direct your dynamics towards a specific direction wherever you want. So let's check rigid body. And again, I need a floor, because just putting on the surface like this. So now what I can do, I can use field force by going field force, and inside the field force I can give the spline as an object which will be read by the dynamic tag. So there are a couple of settings that we have to see inside the field force. So when we click on the spline, you will see the direction tag. We will go for the normalized directions. Let's see if it works. No, still not working because we forgot to put collision tag on our floor. Simulation, collision tag. So, yeah. So to work with the field force, you have to set absolute velocity. It just work like initial velocity that we used in dynamic tag. So let's give some velocity. Will it work? Yes, it's working, but it's working in opposite direction against the spline. We want it to go towards the spline. So if you use invert direction, so it will be on the spline now. So this is a very good thing. Now we can art direct where we want our objects to go. Unfortunately, this project I did like 6 and 8 months ago. At that time, release 21 was not in the market. So as you can see, your object is following the path. You can control the speed as well by increasing your normalized speed. It's too much. So yeah, the point is that you can use this technique to achieve that effect. So the second thing I would like to talk about is this scene. So let's open up one new scene. Draw a cube because I want to make a lot of stairs here. And let's keep the cube up. And here I want to use cloner object. The reason I jumped into C4D was the cloner first time when I jumped in. And I still remember lots of my colleagues were like, don't leave 3D Studio Max and this and this. I said, no man, this is the thing that I was waiting for, I would say. So I just put my cube into cloner object and I want to use it like maybe 10 cubes here and give some space to live. Like this. Got simple setup. And again, I would like to put this cloner into another cloner in order to get more clones around. This time I will select not linear, but the new honeycomb array I would like to select. And from here in the orientation, right now you see it's XY orientation. Now I would like to change this orientation to this. And yes, let's just increase the size into here like this. So that was a simple setup. So now I want a lot of cubes, a lot of spheres to fall from the top of the stairs. Again, I will use the rigid body because I want this to react dynamically. And now I will put this up on the top. We can multiply these cubes manually, but let's put it into the cloner again. Maybe a couple of cloners will help here, maybe 5, I guess. And just give some space towards like X. Not X, sorry. It's Z. And at the same time, I'm selecting plane and cloner to give the collider body tag in order to react like this. So it's just falling, but not coming forward. In order to do that, I will go again to my dynamic tag for my spheres, and I'll select the custom velocity. So we'll see which direction it needs to go. like this, maybe 600 or maybe 500. Let's try. And let's give some timeline to play with, maybe 250. Yeah, that was the setup, complete setup I achieved by using this. So I used random colors of balls, like different colors and different like this, just to save the time. And yeah, that was the thing. Okay, let's move on for like maybe the final setup, this one. The idea about using maze is just like that because, as I said, it was focusing on the Libyan communities after the Arab Spring. So they really needed some space to have entertainment channel. So for this, I just manually draw a whole thing. Nav designs, where is that? Let me show you the Illustrator file. Yes. So first, I designed everything in Illustrator, all the paths and everything, and I just direct myself to how we can see in the last scene the balls. So inside the maze, I wanted to see the Salam logo. So I draw this maze inside the Illustrator, and then export it in the C4D. Let's see if I have the final file. Yes, I don't have this right now. Yeah, that was the simple setup. Again, I used those spheres dynamically. If you can see, if I have these dynamics, I switched it off because of memory space. Yeah, that was, I think, the simplest thing. And then camera animation. I used a simple camera null inside. I put inside a camera and give my camera to some, some keyframes. That's it. So let's see this again, and let's move forward to the next project. Yep. Yeah, this one, Apara Screen Graphics. I like this one very much because it came to me just 2 days ago, and then they asked we need something for to some branding elements for Apara TV channel. So this work done just in 2 days. So it has also very simple techniques. I'll share with you now. Save, no, don't save it. So basically, I use the plane, simple plane, and inside the plane, I used the Mo Extrude, my favorite deformer, or whatever. So that was a very simple setup, but I didn't like initially. So there's a very nice plugin called Topoformer. So I use Topoformer with it, if I can find it. No, it's because of the small size of screen. Let's see. So with the help of Topoformer, I was able to divide these mesh randomly. And let's not use it right now. And go to object, and select Beeple. And now you can see how it divides your mesh. And that was the point. I was a little bit satisfied. Okay, now we can move on with this one. So just to put this one, now we can put this whole thing inside the extrude. Now you can see the whole plane is extruded, and extrude gives you a effector tab. Now you can use all of the effectors inside the effector tab. So let's go for the random effector, because I really wanted these cubes randomly extruded from the surface. So let's go for it. And by default, this has 50-50 values. And I want to use randomly. Inside the object mode tab, you have to select per step. And let's use, for now, let's use just one step. So you can see randomly your cube, your plane is extruded. But I was not looking for it. I was just thinking to use some areas extruded and some areas not to be extruded. So for that matter, I just used the fall off. The new fall off is very amazing. That allow you to use fields. And I used simple sphere first of all. Simple sphere, I used it here. Now you can see you can extrude certain areas from the plane. And the good thing inside the release 21 that you can use the multiple fields by using same random vector. So yeah, like you can just control, drag and drop the spherical fields, and then you can create those extrusion effects around the planar. So yeah, that's how I achieved. And for these glass layers, I just manually added those two cubes, my favorite cubes. Let's resize it like this. Just to focus on one area, I just did like that. So that was the complete setup, I think. I mean, after that, I used Octane to render it. And yeah, I was satisfied with the final output. So with that thing, I have did the whole planning. Thank you very much. So that job was just like 2 or 3 days it took, including rendering. Because in news environment, in broadcast environment, you have to deliver things very quickly. You don't have like 1 month's deadlines and etc. So the next project I would like to talk about is my Ramazan branding. It was event branding for Ahabar. And I think I used Redshift for this one. Yes, I'm sure, not I think. So let's see it first. Sorry. Yes. So I used Redshift render for this one, and let's get into it. Mainly I did a lot of modeling in this one, and the rest was done by the Redshift because the beauty of Redshift was really good. So I'm getting some signs that I don't have time. So let's wrap it up. I'll go now to Science TV, Ramadan. So first of all, I would like to share the reference material I used. Oops, sorry, I just opened it. Okay, never mind. For example, this recent shot, let's see. So I just modeled these things and placed on the floor, simple, and used environment, Redshift environment, in order to get the nice, glossy, and very soft effect, soft night effect. Am I stuck? Yes, I am. Okay, let's move on. In release 21. Okay, very quickly I would like to talk about my next project because I'm running short of the time. So Monkey Talk is from Italy. They came to me and they asked me, after 2 days later, we have to pitch one program for Wimbledon. So can you prepare some of style frames for it? So these are the style frames I have made for them in 2 days. For this one, I used Octane again. I love to jump into Octane and Redshift because of the availability. Let's get into the scene. So for this scene, I just nested this ball. I just broke this ball and just played inside. If you can see, you have multiple nested layers up each other and gave it some textures. I was not responsible to do a camera animation for this one, so I just gave them the designs. Initially, it was a pitch, but when they approved it, so they animated it in-house. I was not responsible for that thing. Okay, in order to, this ball, I modeled it, but in order to break it apart and get the edges around, so I just selected this whole seam and just drag and drop, or you can split it out, like right click, and you can just split. Where is? Okay, I think it's here. UP. I just click UP to split it out. Okay, why it's not selecting? Split UP. Why didn't it work before? I don't know. Okay. Again, I did the same thing for this one. Again, in polygon mode. So I invert selected, and again I press UP in order to get this out, and just extrude it a little bit. Right mouse clicked and extrude it. Whoa, don't extrude it that much. A little bit. So that was the whole thing. I just nested, duplicated more and more layers, and rendered out in Octane. That was a great, fun project. If I would have time, I would really wanted to talk about how I have been creating the most demanding thing in broadcast news industry. Anyone can name which element is the most important element you see when you see the broadcast animations? Sorry? Yes, you saw my slide. So we used to make a lot of, I mean, you can experience this thing that we have to make a lot of dynamic procedural globes. Do we have 5 minutes? Yeah. Do we have 5 more minutes?
Oh, sorry. 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, let me take a shortcut and let me go through this this vectorizer. A vectorizer helped me a lot in order to bring my maps inside. Let's go. Globe section. So first of all, I will bring TGA map. This map contains basically the black and white values. I used to generate these maps inside the After Effects. Globe, you can see. You can use these kind of very dynamic maps like this. By using form or maybe particular, you can generate these kind of images. You can use any shape instead of squares. You can use circles, plus sign, anything you can use. So after getting 4K render from After Effects, you can bring it inside the 4D, and then the world is yours. You can play with it. You have basically a vectorizer. What basically does, it takes black and white values and converts into spline. So here you can see it's a little bit, disturbed. Not exactly you can see in the black and white file, 4K file. So in order to get it, we can reduce the tolerance, maybe 0.2 or maybe less, 0.01. So from here, you can just edit it and you can play with it. You can store it, you can put in the MoGraph, you can use random effector, even you can, by the way, there's one more very quick thing I would like to show, which you can really do inside the new release, which is volume builder. I mean, if you just drag and drop shader factor, for example, shader field, not a factor, shader field. Fields are very amazing in release 21. I loved it. You just have to drag and drop inside the volume builder, and just from the shader factor, you can go inside. You can say, check out for the size, check out the below object, and inside the shader factor, you can, for example, okay, let's take that thing here again. Okay, and now you can see. I'm just putting it, giving it sphericals. I'm just running because of the time. Let's take voxelizer 2. And from here, select spheres, and you can say perfect primitive, just to avoid those blocks. So from here, you can select color, and here you can see the whole map around. Now you can give it you can put it inside the volume measure. The volume measure gives it the form of volume. So here you have a globe. In the end, I would like to say thank you for FGA to put me on, and thanks for the translation. Thanks for everything. My family is here. My wife was very supportive in whole journey, so I would like to have a great clap for her. Thank you.